don't think I knew what to do. Like, I was almost tricked into it, because I was like, all right, well, I know I don't want to go back to heroin, but there's nowhere else to go. Alright, what's up everyone? Greg here, Project Unbroken. So today I want to talk about what methadone feels like, and then just overall, like what it's like to be a methadone addict, or, what it's like to be on methadone. Now, I have a lot of experience with methadone. I was on it for about 6 years or so, and I've now been off it for 5.5 years, and I'm actually, happy, healthy, living a good lifestyle. So I have the experience of, being on it for a while and also being off it for a while, which I think is really important, as you'll see as I go through this video. So there's a few reasons I want to do this video. Number one is to help people understand just how it feels, to kind of take like what methadone feels like and what it's like to be an addict. But number two, maybe to help loved ones understand, if you have someone who's, loved one who's on methadone, what they feel like and maybe what they're going through, why they're acting a certain way. And then of course, anyone who's looking to possibly get on methadone. I think this will really help you, because there's a lot of bullshit out there about methadone, a lot of misconceptions, and I've had a lot of time to both go through my methadone addiction and be off it to be able to reflect, alright? So let me first talk about what it feels like. Now, different people react differently to different substances, right? Whether it's different foods or different drinks or different drugs or stress or emotions. Like, people just react differently because we're all different. If you're lactose intolerant, you drink a bunch of milk, you're probably going to shit yourself. Whereas a normal person, they're going to be totally okay. So understand that people react differently to different substances, different stuff, and it's just the way it is. But the way I felt on methadone was, I think, how most people feel on methadone. It's kind of like the most common feeling on methadone, and that is like the numb, lazy, like foggy type feeling. Like life's just like blah, like it's just, but that's just how you're living. And then the side effects I had, there's many different side effects people experience, but the 3 side effects I would say were biggest for me were sweating, like excessive sweating, very easy to sweat. Summertime sucked, because I would just sweat, like my back would just sweat instantly. When I sat in the car, my back would be drenched, like that old back sweat, and I don't even have a hairy back, so it just made me sweat like crazy. And then constipation, which in a way was cool, because going to the bathroom, although number 2 is pretty easy, I wasn't long in there, but obviously constipation is not good for you, for your health. And then number 3 was just lack of sex drive. So, and that just came with lack of motivation and all that. But again, overall, I just felt lazy, foggy, and just numb, like robotic. I just wake up, alright, I guess it's time to go to work, and just go to work, and alright, just do my job. Guess it's time to go home, watch some TV. It was like boring, repetitive, robotic numbness, and that's the best way I can describe it. And one of the things that I realized as I came off, and as I now am in recovery, and that's why I said I think it's important that I've been off it for a while, because it's enabled me to see some things. It's enabled me to look back, and I'm like, how much of what I was feeling, as far as like the laziness, the numbness, the fogginess, the feeling unmotivated, how much of that was due to methadone, and how much of that was due to the unhealthy lifestyle I was living? Because I mean, really, I was eating fast food pretty much every day. And Taco Bell, I used to go to Taco Bell all the time, and I think they're called Doritos Locos Tacos. It's the Dorito that is like a Cool Ranch outer layer. It's like a regular taco, but the taco shell is Cool Ranch. Oh my God, they're good. And I used to eat that like every single day. The Arby's roast beef sandwich with the curly fries. And I would be eating that shit like every day. On top of that, I wasn't exercising. I pretty much had no friends. I had no positive influences. I had no goals. Like, again, I was just living that kind of flat, level, boring lifestyle with no motivation or no goals. So as I got out of it, I started getting into diet and exercise and all that. It made me wonder, like, how much of that was due to living the unhealthy lifestyle, and how much of that was actually the methadone. Because I can tell you with pretty much 100% certainty, it wasn't all due to the methadone. I think a lot of it was due to the lifestyle. I do think methadone had a little bit to do with it, but I think a lot of it had to do with the lifestyle. And the reason I think that is because even though now, like, I'm in shape, I work out to a fucking point of insanity, like 2 to 3 hours a day, which is totally ridiculous, and I totally understand that. I accept it. I'm pretty much addicted to working out now, but I feel great, so I'm okay with it. But what I've realized is, even now, like, if I go off my diet and I eat a whole bunch of sugar, that feeling kind of creeps back a little bit. Not to the extreme it was, because I won't allow myself to get in the bad eating for a long time, but I'll start getting a little unmotivated, a little sluggish, a little lazy. And I think a lot of that we experience as we're using methadone is just living the unhealthy lifestyle. Like, let's face it, most people who are on methadone are living unhealthy lifestyles. Like, most people aren't dieting, most aren't exercising, most don't have, like, substantial goals or positive friendships around them. And that's just the way it is. That's the way I was on methadone, and that's the way pretty much everyone I knew on methadone was. It was just kind of that, bleh, and just living. That's kind of how you feel on methadone, but I think the lifestyle that goes along with it, it has a lot to do with it. And I was stuck in that numb, lazy type lifestyle, and I just accepted it for a while. I think that's common. I think people who are on methadone, and really like Suboxone or any drug like that in recovery, tend to just accept it, right? And part of that, I think, is because we're so conditioned for, like, easy. Like, we want easy, and we're both conditioned. So I'll take myself, and I'll speak for myself. So I was conditioned, number one, by drugs, especially heroin, where I would do my heroin and I would feel good. It was very easy to do heroin. Open the bag, you sniff it, you feel good, right? Easy, awesome. Besides, you pay for it greatly, right? Awesome until you go through all the withdrawal and your life starts taking a shit on you. Then it's not so awesome. And then you got, society. Society, everything is easy, everything is instant, everything is right now. You got on-demand movies, you got, Amazon Prime, where you can order something, it's at your doorstep the next day. You got fast food on every single fucking corner. You got internet speeds which are ridiculous. No more AOL. You guys remember AOL? For those of you who are maybe my age or older, maybe even a little younger, you used to have to, like, hit sign on and like, it was like a 15-second process just to sign on the internet. And then the internet speeds were about 100 times less than what they are now. And it's like, people's computers, the internet acts up for like 3 seconds and they're like, this damn computer, what's wrong with it? Like we just want everything right now. And part of that has to do with, for me, it has to do with addiction. Like, I was so used to drugs just making me feel good instantly. But also, I think just society, everything's instant. Everything's like right now. Like, we want it now. We want it easily. So as I was in, kind of on that methadone, I was, just stuck on that level kind of field of laziness. I don't think I knew what to do. Like, I was almost tricked into it, because I was like, all right, well, I know I don't want to go back to heroin, but there's nowhere else to go. Like, like, drugs are what made me feel better, and I didn't understand until a little later on that you have to work for it, right? Like, I was tricked. I was tricked into living like that because I didn't understand, or at least I forgot, that I needed to fucking put in some work. I need to work. Like, everything in life, the big part of what I learned in recovery and to get where I am now is you have to work for it. Everything in life that's worth it, you got to work for it. It's not easy. It's easy once you realize the concept, because then you know that the work you're putting in is going to make you so much better. It's kind of a concept I won't explain right now. But it's important to understand that addicts, especially in my eyes, are conditioned for easy, and when you get to that stage, like if you're on methadone now, for example, understand that you don't have to stay where you are. And I think that's what gets a lot of people in trouble, is they get bored, you know, like they're at this constant phase where life's boring. Oh, get up, go to work, come home, watch TV. Like, just like they get so bored with their life that they're looking for excitement, and they don't they almost don't even realize. I didn't realize that the choice there to change my ways, like to just stop looking for the easy way, was there. And until I realized that and I found it and I started putting in the work, then I was able to change and go a different direction. If I didn't realize that, I just would have went back to the drugs probably, because I was fucking bored. Like, life was just boring. It didn't suck. Like, I wasn't depressed, I wasn't sad, but I also wasn't excited and I wasn't happy. I was just living like a robot. I think a lot of people get there, especially like in the methadone lifestyle, and they get bored and they either, you know, go back to using, or they just accept it and kind of live an average lifestyle. So realize you don't have to do that, because I'll explain in the end of this video where I am today. So eventually, of course, I got off the methadone. You know, I was on it for 6 years, and I came down very slow. I think like 4 years in I started coming down, and I came down milligram a week till I hit 10 milligrams. At the 10 milligram mark, I came down a milligram every 2 weeks. So I came down extremely slow. And I also, of course, implemented positive changes, which I'll talk about in just a second. But before I do that, what I want to talk about is just how it feels overall to be on methadone. You know, because there's a lot of stigmas around it, and just kind of like how people look at methadone addicts and all of that. So, you know, when I first got on methadone, I was okay with it. You know, like, it was an upgrade, right? Like, I was doing heroin every day. I was living a grimy ass lifestyle, you know, trying to get money all day, meeting dealers, you know, riding around with dope on me, which could got me in a lot of trouble, hiding it from people, fucking people over, you know, taking people out, like just living a grimy lifestyle, which I was sick of, going through withdrawal. So when I first got on methadone, it wasn't bad. You know, it was a major upgrade. You know, of course I still needed quote-unquote medicine to feel alright, but it was like I went and got my medicine once and that was it. And I didn't have to like worry about riding around all day getting more, worrying about when I was going to get my next dose as much. It was just take it once in the morning, that's it. Like you're done for the day. Rather, my whole day revolving around getting my medicine. So at first it was okay. You know, it was a major upgrade from the lifestyle I was living. But it quickly got annoying, you know, just going to the clinic every single day got annoying. It was a 25-minute drive for me, so 25 minutes there, 25 minutes back. I got sick of that. And then just the negative environment. Like, if you've never been to a methadone clinic, it's not exactly the most positive group of people. And honestly, like, most people in the methadone clinic are very negative and grimy, to be honest with you. I mean, I've seen fights in line, I've seen fights in the parking lot, you know, I've seen people selling their methadone rays as soon as they get to the parking lot, I've seen people doing drugs in the parking lot. Like, it's not the lifestyle that I wanted to be around. Like, I was on the methadone to get out of this lifestyle, or at least to get away from that shit. Half the people in the clinic I went to were just trying to game the system. They were just trying to make their life, kind of get rid of withdrawals or sell their method or make some money or scheme in some way. It's just not what I want to be around. I mean, you go in there, it's almost like you got to pull on your mean mug. You know, you look at someone wrong, you're going to get in a fight. Or you take too long at the window, you got people yelling at you, and just like it's just a shitty ass environment. I got really sick of it. You know, like I just got sick of going there. I mean, eventually, as I went through my methadone addiction, the clinic I went to, as you test negative on your drug test, you can get take-homes. So eventually I only had to go once a week. You know, after a couple years, I passed on my drug test, and I was able to get a week take-home, so I only had to go once a week. But it's still, like, even going there once a week, I dreaded it, man. There was a couple people even I almost got in fights with that I had problems with. I'm like, man, I just don't feel like even dealing with that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to... I was, you know, mid-late 20s then. I had a child, or I had a child on the way at the time. Like, man, I'm not trying to fight anyone right now. Like, I'm trying to live a positive lifestyle. So just a lot of negativity. But, you know, as I went on, that was like the initial thing that I didn't like about it. But like kind of just like the lifestyle, what it's like to be a methadone addict. But these next two things are like what I really ended up not liking about it. So the first thing is, I think this is where the term liquid handcuffs come from. If you've never heard of that term, Liquid handcuffs is kind of like a street name, so to speak, or slang for methadone. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's called liquid handcuffs. I think that name comes from just you're like a slave to the drug. And let me explain a story of what happened to me and kind of where this really started giving me serious anxiety. I was going on a trip, and I got my 6 take-homes. I got my dose for the day and my 6 take-homes. So I go from there, I go home, pack, and I get on a flight. And I believe I went to Florida. I live in the Philly area. So I go to Florida, and I get there, and I unpack all my shit, and I realized that I only got, I think, either 3 or 4 bottles. So I was either missing 1 or 2. I don't forget how many. I forget how many. I don't remember how many. So the whole trip, I'm like, fuck. Like, what did I do with that? Like, I'm gonna have to go home, and I'm gonna have to go through at least a day or 2 of withdrawal. Like, fuck, man. And it ruined my trip, right? So I get back and I fly back. I'm like, all right, well, it's time to just pony up, and I guess I gotta go through this withdrawal. So I get to my car and I found my bottle, it was either 1 or 2 bottles, and I found them. They dropped down in between my seat, and I'm like, oh my god, thank God. But even though like it was so relieving, but at the same time it was like I realized that it had like methadone had me, right? Like then it got me thinking, like, you know, if my alarm didn't go off in time, what if there's a big ass snowstorm and they're closed for a week? Then what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be stuck in withdrawal for a whole week? What if this happens? What if that happens? I was a slave to the methadone, and I realized it. Of course, I was okay with it for a while because I knew that, you know, it was just the step I had to take, but eventually I realized it's not like I was ready for the next step, and that's kind of what put me in motion. Was realizing I didn't want to be a slave to the methadone. So that's one of the major things that I did not like. Just constantly worrying, well, I don't want to have to take something to feel normal. Again, what if I forget to set my alarm? What if I wake up late? What if there's a snowstorm? What if? And constantly I was worrying about missing my dosing, having to go through a severe withdrawal. So, I mean, that's just number one. Number two was just I got sick of that stagnant lifestyle. You know, just, all right, time to go to work, time to, like, just same thing every day. No happiness, no excitement, no sadness, like no nothing. Like it was just completely level life I was living. And I got really sick of that. And I think this is where a lot of people get in trouble. Very important for those of you who are going on methadone, who are on methadone, you gotta realize at this point that you need to make positive changes, okay? You need to realize that you need to probably start working towards things, or you're likely going to go back to what's easy, which for many of us is drugs, okay? Realize that, you know, you need to start possibly incorporating diet. What you put into your body is extremely important to how you feel. Trust me, I've been off for 5.5 years now. I have a lot of experience with different diets and different exercises. What I eat is substantial to how I feel. If I start eating like shit, I start feeling like shit. When I eat completely healthy, I feel fantastic. All right, so even being clean, even being clean, I feel like shit when I diet the wrong way. So imagine being an addict and eating like shit. That's just double dose right there, okay, of feeling like shit. So you got to understand that, all right? And then just understand you got to have positive people around you. You got to have goals to work towards. You need to have something that's going to put excitement in your life. The first thing I did to put excitement in my life, I found out my son was on the way, which then allowed me to put a plan in place to come off the methadone and start tapering slowly. But then I also started working on my business, which I now have today. Very successful business. I work for myself. I work when I want. I work my own hours. And it's what I envisioned from the beginning. When I started this business, it created excitement in my mind. Like it stimulated my mind because I started seeing where I could be. I started being able to work towards something. It wasn't just the same shit every day, it was excitement. Like I got excited because I knew that I could do something else. I started realizing that the stigma of you're a loser, you're on methadone is not true. You know, you control that. That's another thing that's important to understand going in it, or if you're on it now. You're not a loser because you're on methadone, okay? You're a loser because you're not working your way towards anything better, and that's the reason I was a loser. You know, I was a loser because I wasn't trying to win. I accepted defeat, right? So understand that and you're not a loser. I wasn't a loser, and you're not a loser, but you're losing, right? The reason you're losing is because you're not even trying to win. You're not putting in any effort. You're trying to look for the easy way, and anyone who tries to go the easy way is going to end up losing. All right. Again, it doesn't mean you're a loser. I don't mean to put that connotation or even call myself a loser, but just the concept of losing. It's because you're not trying to win. You're not putting in any effort. You're looking for the easy way. Only you can decide if methadone is right for you. As I said, everyone's different. You could be the lactose intolerant person who drinks the milk and shits himself. You know what I mean? Whereas milk may be great for me and make me feel great. So you have to make your decision on if methadone is right for you, if you think it's the right decision. Hopefully what I just went through helps you make that decision, knowing that it's very possible to get off methadone. It's very possible to make positive changes. The person I was 6 years ago to the person I am now is like the lifestyle I'm living, the person I am is completely 180 different. But a big part of that is because I put in the work, all right? So again, hopefully this video helps you understand methadone a little more, helps you understand what it feels like, what it's like to be a methadone addict. It's not fun. It's not something you shouldn't look down on people for it. Not everyone who's on methadone is trying to game the system or is kind of living that negative lifestyle. There's definitely people on methadone who are trying to better themselves. So don't look down on it too. Not everyone's the same. So again, Greg here, Project Unbroken. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you have any more questions on methadone or any other topics, let me know. See y'all soon.